up? How's everybody doing? Couple minutes late. Had to get this big ass monstrosity here mounted up. So get a couple more people in here. We'll get to turning. What's up, honey? If you guys haven't noticed, the name of this Sunday spunday is Balling on a Budget. I've had a whole bunch of people messaging me trying to figure out like what's the best way to start getting materials once you find a lathe and some tools, because lathing blanks that are already made and stuff like that are either way too expensive or takes a while to dry them out. So this whole video is pretty much based on stuff that you can make to is the sound on? Stuff that you can make to kind of practice, and the end of it is fairly aesthetically pleasing. You guys able to hear me? I'm hoping so. So what we have here is a 1x12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 layers deep. It's laminated. Got a little flyaway right here on the edge. We're gonna knock that off with a chisel before it turns into something catastrophic. I hate for that to barb me in the middle of sanding this bad boy off. What's up, plywood? What's up, Robert? No fence pickets, man. This is actual some fine premium quality pallet wood. I believe it's a 1x12 off of an industrial pallet. I jacked it from behind the school that I work at. They got some industrial equipment in, and I took it from there. But what I am going to do is I'm going to shoot you guys from a different angle over here, because this kind of wobbles a little bit. Before I do that, I'm going to set this down on a lower speed, because this thing's a monster, and it kind of like makes its own gravity, I guess. Because I think right now we're sitting at like 2100 RPMs, and on this thing it moves stuff. So we're gonna kick her down to 5. Hopefully she won't have the shakes as bad this way. End of the school year coming up, I have been pretty busy with end of the year dances and functions and proms and all kinds of stuff like that. So last night I missed the live stream with Ryan and them. Not something I normally miss. Matter of fact, I think that's the first one I've ever missed. But you gotta work, you know. So it feels kind of good to get back out here on the live. Let's see how bad this thing wobbles. Yeah, we're gonna move you guys. Over here, just so you can see what all's going on. And then once we get this stable and it's not shaking like it's making its own gravity, I'll put you back up there and move around over here, all that cool stuff. Where's my bit? Back. That being said, I am going to start on this side of it because where this is a smaller lathe, it's kind of hard to get the banjo and the banjo mount in between this because I'm maxing the full capacity out of 12 inches and the tailstock slide. So going to be some working over here trying to round it out, and then we're going to have to put our mortise on that side. Yeah, Cat, they had a pretty decent prom. You can tell they put some work into it, I reckon. That's their kind of thing, I'm sure. This is also the first time I've ever turned pine. Damn it. So I think that I'm going to see if my S-rest will give me more of an ability to at least reach around. Reach around this thing here. It might, may not. Hell, I don't know. I know it ain't that way. It might that way though. Sub 77. How you doing, bub? Here, water. Once I get all this extra weight trimmed off here, this thing should balance out and shouldn't be dancing all over the place. I wonder if these other bits might help out a little bit better than this. That was not Bertha. Okay. Now I can totally see why I never turned pine. Yes, Michael, that's me. So, thinking that we might need to go ahead and cut our mortise in the back of this, so we can recess this back in here a little bit. And then that might give us enough room to move our banjo over to this side. And then it'll give us enough room to expand our tailstock out to round this off to where we can actually work the outside of this. No, my hair's still not dead right, Big Mix. Sorry, man. Start that off. We're going to bring in the diamond tip tool. It's really weird working from this other side of the lathe. I'm not real sure how I feel about all that nonsense. That, and then find my metal work. Alright, I cut that tenon kind of wonky, but there is a reason for that. Where I've never worked with pine, I don't know how it's going to react. So either A, I'll be able to grab on the tenon that's hidden there, or I'll be able to expand the chuck out and have like reverse pressure pressing out on the outside of this, so it's kind of like a fail-safe. But I want to be able to get up here and finish this, and right now, as badass as this little wind lathe is, and I'm actually pretty impressed with it, I want to see if I can push it to its boundaries without blowing it up. And so far, I mean, I'm pretty impressed. I'd be really impressed if I'd like clean my shop every once in a while and not lose where I put my stuff. You know, like the stuff that I need. Okay. Okay. Pop that up for a minute. I ruined that 7 ways from Sunday, but never fear, I have a plan. Will also give me a chance to use that. Ow. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ow. Morning, Plywood. How you doing, man? Yeah, I've never used a faceplate. I've always made sure I had tendons and everything cut, so this might be a little bit different for old Dad here. I try not to use a faceplate because I'm a bit of a creature of habit, I reckon. Fuck yeah, that's broken. Got a battery around here that's got any charge on it whatsoever. The walls keep dying, left, right, and crooked. Better than a doornail. Impact driver, maybe? Ow. Ain't that some shit? Wait. Where'd you go? One. Damn it now, Billy. Alright. She's on there. She might be on there straight. Who the hell knows? Like a fucking glove. I just got this unwheeled and feeling that big son bitch is gonna fly right the fuck off there and kill a man. Like that. Got a thump in there for some reason. Of course. Where's one of my center pucks at? There's one. Go. What the fuck, y'all? Sorry. Trying to watch my language a little bit. Alright, I think we're good now. Maybe. Hell, I don't know. I can work with that. Alright. So. Just like last time, we're going to start working on this edge, bring it in to hopefully round it off. Use your school voice, Mike. That was a dumb move right there. Sorry, y'all. You shouldn't have seen that here. Alright, now I can cut a legit tenon in this damn thing. Maybe. Nope, I got a couple flat spots I gotta knock out, but it's getting better. This bad boy's getting ready to get anchored to this bench. Alright, so it's clearing the thing, or the bed. I'm going to cut the tenon in it. Speaking of tenons and various other tools and stuff like that, if you guys don't know, 2-minute tips for wood turners in the chat here, that's the guy we're always referring to as Jeff. And if you don't know, Jeff's a bit of a beast when it comes to doing lathe work. He just dropped a couple of his 2-minute videos on that very same topic of the proper way to cut a tenon and all that stuff. They're worth checking out. Got a couple minutes to spare because you know you're dicking off in the bathroom at work because you know you're doing it. Definitely worth going and checking out. I think I like that a lot better. 10 in there now. Okay. There are over. What's up, Shivan? You guys are new here? Welcome. Hit the like, subscribe if you like what you see. We try to do this every Sunday. Sometimes we do it more than that. Good group of people here. If you guys are returning, thank y'all for coming and hanging out. We try to do this every Sunday here. It's a good group of people. I've been networking with a bunch of bigger names in the lathing and crafting community and stuff like that for different kind of supplies, carbides, stuff like that. So I can bring you guys some actual reviews. And I want to start doing some giveaways during these live streams to you guys. Not like raffles or anything like that, but we're going to figure out a way to do some giveaways to where, like, you can just, like, let's face it, man, this stuff's expensive, and we got something cool here, with the exception of Jeff and maybe a couple other people. We're not just a bunch of super old white dudes turning stuff on, like, Powermatics and everything else like that. And, unfortunately, the lathing community is kind of stereotyped into that. It's a bunch of different, like, people of, like, backgrounds, stuff like that, just like to turn stuff and everything like that, and they kind of get into it, so let's run with that, because, like it or not, might sound corny, might sound cheesy, before a whole lot longer, we're going to be the next stereotype of people that are, like, into lathing and stuff like that, so let's kind of build a community around that, and, Jeff, yes, we know that you're old and white, but you're also cheap, too. That's why we like you. So, let's get get something going for the community here. I want to start doing some giveaways and stuff like that. Kind of reward you guys for hanging out. Give you guys some stuff to check out. So, I'm even working on an international shipping plan to help out Mike over there. There's supposed to be a couple bigger name distributors watching the chat today. Hopefully they're in here. Hopefully they're watching it, stuff like that. Said there's going to be. I reckon they're good people at their word. They might not be, but we'll figure out. But make them feel like home. Ain't going to change the damn thing we do. Fun. We're still going to act like a bunch of hooligans turning wood and breaking a bunch of nonsense. Let's get this turned and get at it. If you got a channel, let Mike Wilson here know. He'll spam it in here. Spread the love. Mike Wilson, if you could, make Big Max an admin or a moderator. Flip the whole damn lathe over. Yeah, Dennis, I'm working on all that. Probably should. Once we get it stopped wobbling, I'll mount you back up there. Alright, so she's round. Not wobbling as much. Almost past the tailstock completely underneath of it, which is a plus. Or the banjo rest, I'm sorry. See how messed up this really is? We need to round that off a little bit. Okay, so the tear out's not actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, you do have some, it is pine, but it's not god awful. So, pop this bad boy off for a minute. Set you right there. My lovely peoples. Fuck yeah, I dropped it. What's up, Barndo? Didn't see you in there, bud. How you doing? You guys haven't checked out Barndo's channel yet, you need to go check it out. That young man is straight up like shutting YouTube down. I think his last video got like 1 million views or something like that. Dude's 13. He's out here doing stuff that most grown men can't do. Okay. Jeff, you weren't real wrong, bub. 12-inch bowl will beat you senseless. Let's see what I can do here to kind of help out the viewer's pleasure. Not turn that thing on and pinch my nipple off in the damn turning process. I know that. Look at this. I'm drilling it down. Alright. Get that out of the way. Chuck this heifer back up. Why do I wear an apron? Oh, yeah, for the nipple ripping. Yeah, good point. Gotta save them nipples. Get my hardwood puck here. It is about a Jethro boy, ain't it, Big Mex? Okay. Got that on there. Lock that down. While I'm sitting here talking to y'all for a second, I'm going to go ahead and handle this. Big Mex. Add his moderator. Managing moderator. Okay. 2 minutes. I don't know why in the hell Cat ain't a moderator yet. She's an added moderator. I trust Cat with my life. Michael Wilson. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, we got some tear out, like right through here and stuff like that, but I think once we blast this with 60, and we've still got some shaping to do on this thing, we might be all right. But this does give me a little bit of a chance to use this thing. And I'm kind of excited about that, because this is the first time I've actually turned something ungodly big enough to where it's worth justifying using it. This is a big flower pot right now. Yeah, I've actually got something, like I said, it's balling on a budget, so we're not just going to leave it plain wood. I'm going to bust out the torch after I'm done with this. We had it sanded and everything like that. I'm going to shishugib on the outside of it, and then I'm going to take some of that deep blue stain that I made, and we're going to blue the outside of it, leave the inside of it wood grain, and then we're going to oil and wax the outside of it to give a real good sheen. And we might do the inside of it black, or we might leave it wood grain. I'm not 100% sure on it. I know it'll look cool, and it'll look like something that wasn't made out of pallet wood. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with pallet wood. Nothing wrong with pallet wood. It's where I cut my teeth at. Made a lot of flag boxes and weapon hides out of pallet wood. Pallet wood's free if you don't mind dumpster diving. And I don't mind dumpster diving. Yeah, she's good. I'll give her a once over and hit her with, tighten her up just another time, but she's in there good. I got good connection all the way around, like you mentioned in your video. And then I got that walnut hardwood stress plate over here. Yeah, Wynn makes a couple actual badass lathes. I mean, I'm not going to lie, when I got this one, I picked it up out of necessity to keep a Sunday spunday on schedule. And this thing's a powerhouse. They make 2 or 3 different variations of this one, and then they have a 14-inch that I'd love to get my hands on. just so I can make bigger stuff, because this 12 is pressing this one to its very limits. I've still got it set on its lowest setting of like 500 RPM, but it's got the variable speed and all that stuff. Oh, you leaving? Because hold on, gotta love my wife. Say hi to the camera. Wave at them. They're back there behind the bowl. Be careful. Had to love the breadwinner. But I don't know if Win makes an 18 or a 24. I know they make a 14 for sure. Porque dice esta, acidio esto. Ah, man, I butchered that. Salite, welcome. If somebody can translate that for me and let me know what it means. Alright, let's get in here and oh, y'all shaking like crazy. We can't leave you there. Yeah, she said that she'd be in there. Alright. That's better. Y'all can see what's going on. Yeah. That's much better. Man, it's you squeaking. It scared the shit out of me. right there we got a little something we need to take care of. Alright, so the outside is actually pretty cool. I like the way the outside turns out here. Bakir, how's it going? So you guys saying I should ride the bevel more? Yes, and resharpen. Alright, I can do that. Alright, that's dead. What's up, Johnny? Maybe this won't shake y'all to hell and back. Oh, it's shaking. My bad. Still gonna hang out up there for a minute. sorry, y'all. I'm a terrible live streamer and shit. That might be a little bit better. All right, so this is where we're at. I've got a little bit of an indent cut in there. Walls are about a 1/2 inch thick up here at the top right now. Backseat, criticizing his word. Then we would be backseat. I'm trying to read what's going on here. I'm trying, Bruce. I'm not real great at this stuff, man. I'm still relatively new to this live streaming stuff. All right, so thinking I might need to speed the lathe up a little bit. Yes, I'm gonna try to shoot for 3/8 on the wall thickness all the way down. But my main concern is where I'll be adding heat to it. I think I need to actually do the finish on the outside of the bowl before I come and do the final hollowing on the inside of the bowl, because I think the heat might cause some kind of contortion or deforming of the wood. So I'm going to change the speed up on this thing a little bit. Hopefully it won't like gyrate me into a new dimension. So far, that's my only complaint about this lathe. I mean, is it don't have a variable speed to change it. That's going to kick her up to about a 900. We'll see what that looks like. I think we'll be okay with that for a minute. If that's not good enough, we'll speed that up too. Once you've done with the outside, it should not vibrate much anymore. Right. That is not the actual motor in my lathe. That is this walnut hardwood press block that I've got in here, grinding against that centerpiece that's doing that. So before we all start freaking out. Okay. Bam. Now you shouldn't be in reverse. Not fire time just yet. I want to round off the bottom and just a tad bit. But we're damn near at fire time, I promise you that. Riding the bevel does work a lot better, you guys were right. I gotta plug you guys in. You're dying on me. That could have been your finger if you got lucky. All right, that was 80 grit. Take it up a little bit, and then we're gonna put some collar on this heifer. Alright, I'll clip you guys up here. I'll get the torch ready, I reckon. Knock some of this random sawdust out of the way so I don't set myself and or shop on fire. Fire time. Fire time. Alright, it's burnt. Now we're going to take a super high grit sandpaper, probably about, not super high grit, probably about like a 240 or something like that. We're going to go over this just to knock the funk off of it just a wee little bit. And then I'm going to mix up some of this homemade blue stain that I got. We're going to do the outside in the blue, and then we're going to wax the hell out of it so it'll set it in there. It's alcohol base homemade stain, so it'll evaporate and leave nothing but the collar and the wood, and we can go back on to working on other stuff and get going with that. So give me just a second. Got that. There's that. Let me find it here. 220 grit. Just want to lighten it up a little bit, get some of that char off. Yeah, just like that. All right. Homemade alcohol-based stain. This will get darker the longer you leave it set on here. One thing you will have to take note on if you ever do one of these, which that's entirely up to you, you are going to have exposed end grain. So you're going to have to make several laps around it, because as normally your end grain will eat any kind of stain or coloring or oils that you put on here, okay? We'll let that sit there for a second and let that get a little bit darker. Big mix, I'd say you could probably put a whole box of cereal in this bad boy, or you will be whenever it's done. You know, I'm a big boy too. I like cereal. Give me that peanut butter Captain Crunch, and I'll move some mountains. I'd say you probably could pre-stain on the end grain. I've never pre-stained any of the bowls. I mean, the alcohol penetrates pretty good. I've just never pre-stained anything like that. So, give that a second. Just turn it with our hand. Let the alcohol kind of evaporate off there a little bit. I'll get our towel and give it a wipe down, and then we'll hit it with some oil. Let the oil work its way in, and then we'll hit it with some hard wax, and then we'll friction that hard wax in there. Wax on, wax off. Let me use my rag here, my filth rag. Okay. And the cool thing about this being an alcohol-based stain, like, you can get pretty much right back to work with it. You don't have to let it sit for no ungodly long amount of time. And it's homemade and it's cheap. We made it in one of the first live sessions that we done here. An experienced greasy hand right there. You're a dirty old man, Jeff, but I love you, bub. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll love it up with some wax. Feel like a milkshake, yeah. Well, hopefully, I'm supposed to have the quote back from the other contractor today, and he swears up and down, be damned, that he can beat the other two bids on building this shop. I should know something by tomorrow morning, and the new shop will be fairly large the way he's talking about, and there'll be a whole corner dedicated nothing but lathing and stuff like that with an actual solid concrete foundation, and You won't be on a rickety ass last minute table. So that's what we're working towards. So let's throw some wax on this thing. I'll move the camera back over here after we're done, and we'll get to coring this thing out. Alright, let's get you guys back over the other one. Yeah, my shop will never be clean, man. Probably not clean, but might be a little bit better organized. What's up, Asian? Steve, I've never sold one of these. This is actually the first time I've ever worked with pine. A bowl like this usually sells, a bigger bowl if it's made out of different materials, sell from anywhere from like 80 to 100 bucks. If it's out of resin, prices change drastically. No, it's not a carbide. It's a bull gouge. Just pull cutting right now, yes. I'm just pull cutting. This is carbide. Pull cutting, no bevel into unsupported grain, not bad for waste removal. No, no, Steve. Way simpler than that, way cheaper than that, man. If you go to the cake aisle at Walmart, they have a food coloring, but you got to get the gel kind. Take the cap off, heat it up, and it makes like this booger in the bottom of it, like a big snot bubble looking thing. Pull that out, and the only thing left in it is a dye. It takes out all the additives and everything else except for the dyes. You take that and you mix it with 91% alcohol, and it's as easy as that. Once it goes in, it seals in the wood and won't come out of the wood. We need the third one, two. We need the third one, two. Okay. I think we're going to take out this centerpiece and actually start working on coring this out now. No, sir. There we go. No, it's not a funnel bowl, man. I'm only not even halfway through yet. So 1, 2, 3. I'm into the 4th layer, so I've got to go a whole nother layer, and that's where we're going to stop. We're going to round it off there. helmet just died. We'll charge that. We got tear out in there, and we got inconsistency there. But I think I can take care of that with angle my carbide in here. Where's my scraper at? It's not a great scraper, but it's a scraper. What's up, woodchucker? Make it a big bowl. Big bowl. Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for stopping by, dude. Means a lot. Everybody go check out Woodchucker's channel. Mike, if you would, go ahead and spam Woodchucker's channel. He's got some pretty cool carving and stuff. Some more right there I need to take care of. Big Max, I don't know if you're still in here or not, man, but I think you could eat a bowl of cereal out of that. She is 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 inches deep. Later, Jeff. Yeah, she is a big ass bowl. I'll spray some oil in here. Maybe. Yeah. What's up, 77? Yeah, so we might not have took like a 2x4 and turned it into $1 million, which is the YouTube trend right now. But we took a pallet, we busted it down, and we turned it into a big ass bowl, which is not something you see a lot of. And the inside of it, contrast with the outside of it, actually pretty cool looking. Rub this in real quick. And I believe I might actually try to burnish the inside of this a little bit. So, the name of this live stream was Balling on a Budget. Not necessarily balling like we're going to sell everything we make. If you got a lathe, one of the hardest parts of a lathe is not only buying the tools, because the lathe is like the easiest part about the startup, but finding materials to turn, unless of course like your big mechs, that can become a pain in the ass. Because everybody wants to turn like these exotic hardwoods and stuff like that. And what you really need to do is turn anything you can to practice. So this started out as some 1x12s off of an industrial pallet. Bust them down, knock the nails out, cut in between the nails. Had some pretty clean 1x12s. Made sure they weren't cupped and bowing and all that stuff. And took the homemade stain that we made in like the first one of the turning sessions, coated the outside of it. Use some wax, linseed oil, and we're getting ready to pop her off here in a second, and I'll show you guys the finished product. That is tray wax. Trewax. All right. Time to pop this heifer off here. I'll take you guys over here and show you what she looks like. Still got to put a little bit of stain on the bottom of it where she's chucked up in the jaws, but it's a big ass bowl. That's made out of a pallet. So, I don't care what anybody says. It's cool as shit. Made out of pine, and had to pay a little bit of extra attention to the inside of it, but there's not a bunch of crazy tear out or anything like that. And the outside of it, we done like the Shishugi bond coating, and it turned out pretty cool. I'm gonna make some laser blanks for the bottom of them, little round ones that I insert in there. And Tits McGee, what's up? If you're new here, subscribe. If not, welcome back. Yeah, I want to make some little laser tags on the bottom. I might end up ordering some from Steve. I don't know. Might order the ones just for the YouTube channel from Steve, but I might make a... Yes, I thought about doing a red version. I've still got some of the pallet wood over there, and I've got some of this red dye that I've made up for the wood, and I think it would be actually pretty cool to make one of these in red too. But this is, like I said, this is a pine bowl. I mean, is it useful? No. Decorative? Pretty damn decorative. So, for a practice session, I think it's pretty cool. Next up, I'll set this over here out the way. And, Jesus God, I'll spill everything. I got a segmented bowl set up here. It's a gnarly ass chunk of walnut, or I'm sorry, barn beam oak that I've cut up. It's got a crack in it. I don't think it goes all the way through it, and I got some maple strips glued up to the top of it. So I can't use that for my cereal. Yeah, you could use it for your cereal, man. You could totally use it for your cereal mix. but I have to make something to donate to the school for the Teachers Appreciation Week that's going down. And reckon I'm going to do that with you all here. What the hell, you know what I mean? I should probably get some of the 90 pounds of fucking sawdust out of the way here. Probably not going to happen now. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, the crack kind of scares me a little bit too. But it doesn't go all the way through. Damn it now, Billy. I don't know why the hell I did all that. No, I don't think I'll be expanding the jaws on that one. That's how I took one to the face last time. See if we got some battery on this life-saving apparatus here, because chances are I'm probably going to need it. Yeah, Big Mix, give me a snack bowl. It's a salsa bowl mix. What's up, Robbins? That's almost worked its way out. Me neither, Robbins, me neither. Okay, there's that, and back to the rounding. What the hell, big man? Cut a tin in the bottom of this. I'm going to core this out and make it a bowl. What's up, Nick in? Tell that baby school's a scam. I know, Max, I know. Damn, threw it. Alright, we pop this tailstock pin out. Throw a Forstner bit, Jacob's chuck in here. Before you guys ask, yes, I could have done this with the big bowl, but if you notice, the live stream's called Balling on a Budget. Not everybody's got access to like a Jacobs chuck. Hell, up until like 2 weeks ago, I didn't. What's up, woodchucker? Be careful, man. So I kind of wanted to make it, stuff that everybody had access to. Now, with that being said, I'm trying to knock this out because I got to give it away to a teacher appreciation thing this week. So we're going to get it done real quick like. All right. This thing is a little bit more. I think that's deep enough. All right. Damn screws. Put that right there. Ow, damn it. Yep, little gouge is getting to happen. God damn. Okay, hold on for a minute. I don't like that. Motor was buried in sawdust. Mm-hmm. Yeah, boy. All right. So, we are 10 minutes shy of hitting the 3-hour mark. Frank Callen, Ohio boy, not Alabama. So, I'll go ahead and ask you guys because you're in here. Next Sunday, what do you guys want to see? You want to see some resin turned? You want to see some more wood? Let me know what y'all want to see. I got some burl here I can put in resin. I got some new resin from the sponsor. I can do some more of these big bowls if y'all want that kind of stuff. You got to let me know. Oh. I don't care. I'm here to hang out. I'll sit here and turn poplar with you guys all day. It doesn't matter to me. Green resin on burl. You got it. I'll take 72 hours to set. Weather's kind of wonky here. I'll go ahead and give it 4 or 5 days just to be safe. I'll go ahead and try to pour it tomorrow. I think I might try to do something a little sketchy. I got some pine cones that I want to use. I got some burl I want to use. Might as well get stupid with it, right? Most American man I've ever seen. I take that as a compliment. Yeah, I'll run with that. Fairs, bro. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll run with it. Or a dump multicolored. Dude, I'd love to. If my new sponsor's pigments arrive tomorrow, like they're supposed to, we're gonna have a butt ton of pigments that we can mix in here. I've got like some crazy light reactive pigments, heat reactive pigments, all that cool stuff. Bunch of perloids and iridescent stuff. I want to do something crazy like that. Yeah, I got. I don't want to butcher the name. It's the Craft Warehouse. They hooked me up with a bunch of. I got Let's Resin as a resin sponsor. I'll have promo codes and affiliate codes for everybody. But the Craft Warehouse, I believe that's the exact name of it. I'm not butchering it. I'm sorry. I've been in correspondence with them. I just signed my contract with them and all that stuff like that. They're sending me some molds so I can actually do the blanks for resin to put in between sections of wood because I want to do some of the phantom bowls where you got like wood, ghost resin, then another wood blank. But they're also sending me like some perloids and their pigments and their stuff like that. And like I requested like their crazy new line of pigments that has like heat reactant and chameleon colors and stuff like that. So hopefully hook those up. Sandra, what's up, man? Nice to have you here. If you're new, subscribe. If not, thanks for coming back. YZYA. I don't know exactly what that means, but what's up? The couple of the sponsors that I was talking to, the Wood Turner Store, Turner's Warehouse, and Wood Turning Wonders. I've been in contact with them. They've one of them has mentioned some Legend supplies. Legend is big in pin blanks. So hopefully they can hook me up some pin blanks. I'd like to start doing that. I think some pin blanks would be cool. Yeah, there's turnerswarehouse.com, wood turning wonders. Do you know how to caliquate a filigree? Man, I'm gonna Google that. I feel like you're asking me some sketchy shit. CB&, wheels. I hope that one of them send me a CB&, wheel, dude. I've got a grinder down here that I could really use a CB&, wheel on. Woody, you believe it? Woody, you believe it? I don't know. Woody, you believe it? Woody, you believe it's wood? But we had one successful project today. I've got a bunch of other bowls that I can donate to the school for the teacher appreciation, stuff like that. Just kind of wanting to make them a one-off in the live, but this took precedence. This is by far the biggest bowl that I've turned on any lathe so far, and it maxed out. Ayoba Hamadel Joshua, what's up? Hi. YZYA. Yeah, I'm a big ugly man, but I do got some pretty teethers. Thank you. Like I said, man, this is pallet wood. Give it a shot. You might be surprised what you can do. It's pine. Takes a little bit of time to like get it free of all the tear outs and stuff like that. But like I said, this is the biggest bowl that I've turned to date. And I'm stupid excited about this. Like, color came out good. The inside, the contrast with the outside, I really like it. Wax held through. Differences in the grain kind of work for it. And when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's pallet wood, y'all. Yeah, if I had a bigger lathe, I could make some bigger bowls. But right now, I am not going to lie. The wind does what it's supposed to do. Maybe in the future, I'll be able to get a bigger lathe, but biggest thing I can turn on this right now is 12, and it has no outboard capacity. If it had outboard capacity, like it could do a 14 or something like that, I'd be jacked. WeTools.com. Your chuck may be limiting you. I think my chuck may be limiting me. This is an Amazon chuck. It's a Define. I do think personally that I need to upgrade my chuck a little bit. I've been having some issues with this. Mike Wilson was saying it the other day. Keeps on backing off the spindle. It's not a bad chuck, but I think I churn a little bit more than what a lot of people that this is intended for turn. Solomane, what's up? How's it going in Morocco? Raja Bain, what's up? Yeah, I think the jaws might be a little too small. I like to get some that are a little bit longer and possibly higher rise on them. Never know. Could be in the cards. But trying to do bigger things. Like I said, I want to get some stuff for the channel so I could do I want to be able to do giveaways to the viewers, stuff like that. Show the appreciation for the people that's actually wanting to keep this stuff going and everything like that. Not saying it's a dying craft. Lathing is not like a dying craft or anything like that, but there's not a whole lot of people that stay into it. Like I said earlier, it's usually just a bunch of older people or dudes like us hanging out in tool sheds. But yeah, there'll be definitely more lives coming. If everything goes through and the new shop gets built the way this contractor is talking, he's saying he could have like the porch done in like 2 or 3 days, the back deck done in like 3 or 4 days, and the carport and shop done in like a week. Yeah, I usually I try to have my lives at like 1 or somewhere in there. My daughter had a volleyball game today, so I scheduled at 4:30. I'm not gonna miss my daughter's volleyball game, stuff like that. The motor gets warm. I do not like that. But this is a 3-hour live stream. I appreciate everybody that popped in here, all that cool stuff. Thank you guys. Luke popped in right at the very last minute, man. So, with that being said, peace. Thank you all for showing up, all that cool stuff. Really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, check it out. Check out the other channels in the chat and everything like that. God bless y'all. Till next Sunday. Peace. I'm out. Love y'all. Bye.